Peace and love, black family. It's the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. UMAR Johnson, coming to you live in direct Pennsylvania. Prince of Pan-Africanism, most requested scholar, the new Marcus Garvey, the new Frederick Douglass, National Independent Black Parent Association, second annual Black College in Consciousness Tour, coming up very, very soon. Black family, today I want to talk about a topic that I know is considered somewhat controversial. So at the outset, I would like to say to those brothers and sisters out there who are of the LGBT persuasion, nothing I say today is intended to harass, offend, or disrespect you, but it is intended to tell the truth about an agenda that the United States government, that the United Nations, that the Rockefeller World Population Council, and that nearly every president in American history has been serious about, and that is about reducing the population of black people in America and ultimately exterminating Africans worldwide. Let me say it again. There has been an agenda in this country and across this world carried out by most developed, so-called developed nations. I would call them colonizing nations, European nations, a population agenda to control, reduce, and ultimately exterminate black people. And my premise in today's presentation, which won't be a very long one, but my premise in today's presentation is to make you aware that the United States government is currently using, they are using the LGBT and the feminist movements as propaganda covers for an agenda to ultimately exterminate black people. Okay, so I want to be very clear about this. Don't forget Harriet Tubman's, the new Harriet Tubman National Underground Railroad Visitor Center opens today and tomorrow. The new Harriet Tubman, Queen Mother Harriet, who passed away 104 years yesterday. She has a new National Underground Railroad Museum. All of you need to go and visit it. It will be open, I believe, 7 days a week beginning today. The grand opening is today and tomorrow. I'm probably going to end up going tomorrow. Got some things to do today, okay? But I'll probably be going tomorrow or Monday. I know other members of the National Independent Black Parent Association, they're actually going up there today. Shout out to them, and we will be going public. The National Independent Black Parent Association will be going public. We will be going public, okay, on April the 1st, all right? So you can get down with the organization. I'm going to name the chapters now, okay? But if we do not have a chapter in your city, state, town, you can decide that you want to be the leader or organizer of that chapter. You can send me an email, drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. You can send me an email letting me know that you want to start a study group in your city. Start a study group in your city, but to become a temporary chapter, okay, a provisional chapter, you have to attend our next regional training conference, which will be most likely in Detroit in June. To become a chapter, you must attend our next regional training conference, which looks like is going to be in Detroit in the month of June. But you can start a study group soon. I will be hosting a teleconference for all of those who are interested in starting study groups for the National Independent Black Parent Association, and that teleconference will be taking place in the next couple of weeks. So with regard to our chapters, there will be a chapter near Richmond, Virginia. That's the Henrico County, Virginia chapter. Henrico County, Virginia. There will be a Northwest Detroit chapter. A Northwest Detroit chapter. There will be a Cajun Valley Union chapter, which is an area of San Diego. Okay, there will be a Southwest Durham chapter, which is a section of Durham, North Carolina. There will be a Dorchester Center study group which is a section of Boston. Okay, there will be a West Indianapolis chapter, West Indianapolis, Indiana. Okay, there's a chapter there. There will be a Southwest Atlanta chapter. All right, there will be a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania chapter of the National Independent Black Parent Association. A Southwest Detroit chapter of the National Independent Black Parent Association. All right. There will also be a Northside Pittsburgh of Pennsylvania, Northside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania chapter, a Charlotte, North Carolina study group, a Germantown, Philadelphia chapter, a Princeton City chapter, which is a section of Ohio, just outside of Cincinnati, a South Seattle chapter, a Shreveport, Louisiana chapter, an East Denver, Colorado chapter. There will be a Rialto Central chapter, which is a section of California, Southern California, Moss Point, Mississippi chapter, Jamaica Queens chapter, and a South Los Angeles, California chapter. And there will be a few others. So if you're interested in helping us to fight and organize our parents so that we can bring change in the 7 key areas of special education, discipline, policy, finance, social support, homeschool, and parent advocacy, join one of the chapters. Information will be put out by April the 1st, which is when we go public. Talk is over. It's time for action. No more hotepping. It's time to start stepping. No more hotepping. It's time to start stepping. No more hotepping. It's time to start stepping. So let me get into this topic about global African population control. Global African population control. There's a document that I want you all to research. There's a document that I want you all to research. The name of that document is the NSSM 200. You can Google it on your cell phone, your tablet, your laptop. NSSM 200. This is a national security memorandum that was published in 1974. It was originally classified. It was declassified 6 years later in 1980. So you have to do your research on the NSSM 200. NSSM 200, okay? Published by Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, who is a Rockefeller, he is a Bilderberg, he is a Trilateral, he is a Council of Foreign Relations. And we know that the Council on Foreign Relations was created in the 1920s to help destroy Marcus Garvey's agenda for a free and united Africa. I repeat, the Rockefeller Foreign Relations Council was started in the 1920s at the same time of the rise of the Garvey movement to thwart and distort and disrupt Marcus Garvey's agenda for a united and a powerful Africa. So you got the Rockefeller Trilateral Commission, you got the Rockefeller World Population Council, which we're going to talk about, you got the Rockefeller Foreign Relations Council. The Rockefeller got all type of organizations, some to deal with extermination, some to deal with policy control, some to deal with economic domination. But in this report, this was a population control report. You can read the whole thing online. You don't have to believe me. You can read the whole thing online. You don't have to believe me. But in this NSSM 200 published on December the 10th of 1974, the Rockefellers, okay, through their agent, Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, said, quote, and I am quoting, "This report is about implications of a worldwide population growth for U.S. security and overseas interests." Let me repeat it again. Quote, "It is for implications of worldwide population growth for U.S. security and overseas interests. Implications of worldwide population growth for United States security and overseas interests." What overseas interests are they talking about? You know what overseas interests they're talking about? The gold of Africa, the diamonds of Africa, the gas of Africa, the natural resource of Africa, the plants of Africa, the animals of Africa. That's what they're talking about. overseas interests. What does population control have to do with overseas interests? What does population control have to do with overseas interests? Everything. Because you have to wipe out the black folks who are blocking your access to the resources that you want to steal. Let me repeat that. You have to block out the black people. Kill them, get rid of them, deplace them so that you can have access to the resources that you want to steal. That's why population control is so important, because black people are blocking access to resources that white people want to steal. Facts, facts, facts. Now, according to NSSM 200, the rich countries are reproducing slower than the poor countries. This is a quote. This is a quote. In the report, it says that population reduction, birth rate, is higher in what they call LDC. That stands for the least developed countries, LDC. The least developed countries, and what they're saying is that the least developed countries are repopulating faster than the most developed countries. That's just a code word that black folks in Africa are having more babies than white folks in America, in France, and in the UK. That's all that means. The least developed countries are repopulating faster than the most developed countries. So black people are having more children than white people. That's what they're talking about. They go on to say, quote, if the future numbers are to be kept within reasonable bounds. This is a quote from NSSM 200. If future numbers are to be kept within reasonable bounds, it is urgent that measures to reduce fertility, measures to reduce fertility, and I'm going to tie this into the abortion. I'm going to tie this into mass incarceration. I'm going to tie this into the LGBT and feminist struggles, which are being used as a front and a cover to reduce the numbers of black folks. Okay? I do not hate or dislike our homosexual brothers and sisters, but I do not agree with the lifestyle. I have a right not to agree with the lifestyle, and I need y'all to understand that the lifestyle is being used as a cover. Family rights, gay marriage is being used as a propaganda cover to reduce the numbers of black folks in the world. I need y'all to see that. So even if you belong to a same-sex marriage, you should be conscious of what's in the best interest of African people. Even if you are gay or lesbian, we need you to be conscious of what is in the best interest of black folks. And you may say, I'm doing this. This is how I choose to live my life, but I'm not going to publicly propagate and push this, because I know that the power structure, I know that the establishment wants me to do that so they can help psychologically engineer black youth, to abandon traditional black family systems, to condition black youth to abandon traditional black family structures. Facts. If I'm lying, prove it. And I got the facts here today. Just because somebody disagrees with you don't mean they hate you. Just because somebody disagrees with you don't mean they hate you. There's people who disagree with me. It don't mean they hate me. Muslims disagree with Christians. It don't mean they hate them. Democrats disagree with Republicans. It don't mean that they hate them. Fraternities and sororities battle it out in the step shows all the time, but it don't mean they hate each other. They still family at the end of the day. And guess what? We still family at the end of the day. But I just need you to become conscious about how you're being used, family. How they are using you to help get rid of black folks. And we're going to tie that into AIDS, Ebola, West Nile, population control. Population control. That's what this is about. Let's keep on going. If future numbers are to be kept within reasonable bounds, it is urgent that measures to reduce fertility, did y'all hear that? Measures to reduce fertility be started and be more effective. This is a quote, listen. Quote, measures to reduce fertility must be started and made effective into the 1970s and 1980s. I'm going to say it one more time. I'm quoting from NSSM 200. If future numbers are to be kept within reasonable bounds, they're talking about the population, world population. If future numbers are to be kept within reasonable bounds, it is urgent that measures to reduce fertility. Reduce fertility. That means what? make it so women cannot get pregnant. Not abortion, fertility. They're saying they have to reduce fertility. Are y'all listening to this? Are y'all listening to this? They want to reduce fertility. You know what that means? Make it so the woman can't get pregnant. Make it so the man cannot impregnate. Reduce fertility and be made effective in the 1970s and the 1980s. Facts I'm quoting. The 1970s and the 1980s. Facts I'm quoting. The 1970s and the 1980s. South Africa, shout out to you, sister guest. I'll be in Lesotho, Kingdom of Lesotho. Prince of Pan-Africanism returns to Southern Africa, May 2nd to May 10th. Prince of Pan-Africanism returns to Southern Africa, May 2nd to May 10th. Lesotho, you will see me. Okay, now, NSSM 200 talks about a World Population Plan of Action. NSSM 200 talks about a World Population Plan of Action. Listen to this. Quote, this is a quote. We must concentrate on key countries that have a special U.S. political and strategic interest. I repeat, we must concentrate on key countries that have a special United States political and strategic interest. They named the countries. I'm only going to name the African countries. Most of them were African, okay? I'm going to name. Guess what they named? Brazil, Nigeria. Facts. Brazil, Nigeria. Why did they name Brazil and Nigeria in the NSSM 200 population control policy? Because Nigeria has the most Africans in a country. Nigeria has the most Africans in a single country in Africa. In Lagos alone, there's almost 40 million blacks in one city of Lagos, Nigeria. That means there's almost as many Africans in Lagos than there are in Black America total. So they target Nigeria because Nigeria has the most Africans of any country, and they also target Nigeria because of what? Gas and oil. Gas and oil. Look at what they say. I'm going to repeat it. We must concentrate on countries that have a special United States political and strategic interest. A special United States political and strategic interest. They named Nigeria. They named Brazil. Why did they name Brazil? Because Brazil has more Africans outside of Africa than any other country on the planet. Brazil has more Africans than almost any country in Africa. Facts. So they targeted Nigeria. They targeted Brazil. Egypt. They target Egypt, the Nubian part of Egypt, not the Arab Egypt, the Nubian part of Egypt. They also Ethiopia, the land before time. Ethiopia, the cradle of civilization. If you ever wonder why Ethiopia is considered the second poorest nation in the world, if you ever wonder why Ethiopia is being considered the second poorest nation in the world, is because America and Britain and France keep Ethiopia underdeveloped as a strategy to convince Ethiopian women not to have babies. They keep Ethiopia underdeveloped as a strategy to convince our Ethiopian sisters not to have babies. Isn't it a shame that they went to the cradle? They went to the cradle of civilization. They went to the cradle. Look, they went to Brazil, largest population of Africans outside of Africa. They went to Nigeria, largest population of Africans in Africa. Then they go to Ethiopia, which is the cradle of African civilization. They're trying to pull us out outside the root, pull us out from side the root. Facts. Let's keep on going. Ethiopia and Egypt. Ethiopia and Egypt, cradle of civilization. They're trying to pull us out by the root. They also say the rural poor, listen to this, y'all. This is a quote. The rural poor have the highest fertility rates, and family planning materials should be made available as soon as possible in the least developed countries. Listen, y'all got to read between the lines. The rural poor. Who are the rural poor? They're talking about blacks who live out in the rural communities and rural nations within the African continent, in the Central and South American continent, and the Caribbean. Because you know the AIDS rate is going crazy in the Caribbean. AIDS is going crazy, wiping black folks out, and then they fighting the Chinese for who's going to dominate the resources. So the rural poor have the highest fertility rate, right? Okay, So poor black women have the highest fertility rate in the world. And so they're saying family planning material, not information, material. Family planning material, not information, material. What are they talking about? They're talking about abortions, hysterectomies, AIDS, Ebola, homosexuality. Materials, family planning materials should be made available as soon as possible. This is 1974, so you can imagine what they're doing now. NSSM 200 was 1974, so you can imagine what they're doing now. Listen to this. Biomedical research. $60 million a year should be spent on biomedical research. I hope y'all listening. I hope y'all listening. Okay? Biomedical research. $60 million a year should be spent on biomedical. Hold on one second. $60 million a year should be spent on biomedical research for simple, low-cost, effective, long-lasting fertility control. I'm going to say that again, family, because this is a quote. I'm going to say that again, family. Listen, this is a quote. $60 million a year should be spent on biomedical research for simple, low-cost, effective, long-lasting fertility control. Let me say it again. Simple, low-cost, effective, long-lasting fertility control. If you don't believe me, read it yourself. Simple, long-lasting, effective fertility control. What do they mean by long-lasting? What do they mean by long-lasting? They mean they want to make it permanent, that the black woman can have no babies. They want to make it permanent. They want it long-lasting. See, what y'all need to understand is abortion is the first step towards sterilization. Abortion is the first step towards sterilization. And black women are more likely than any other woman to suffer accidental, quote, accidental sterilization following an abortion procedure. Let me say it again. Black women are more likely than any other woman to suffer so-called accidental sterilization following an abortion procedure. In other words, they're telling you that we're just going to eliminate this one baby. We're just going to abort one. And the next thing you find out, you can't get pregnant no more. This is not an accident. They doing it on purpose. You don't understand the ice people. You don't understand the ice people. I keep teaching y'all. Y'all don't understand them. They came from the ice and came into the sun, and they decided to take over everything and get rid of the sun people. There is an agenda to get rid of the sun people. What you gonna do? You can't hotep this. You can't debate this. You can't keep giving lectures about this. You got to do something about this. This is why Pan-Africanism, this is why Garveyism, this is why revolutionary Pan-African nationalism is the only solution for African people. Whoever controls Africa controls the world. You want America, you can have it. I want the continent. They also say in NSSM 200, education of new generations on the desirability of smaller family. Listen, this is the education. This is the Obama. Listen, there must be an education for new generations of American children that teaches them the desirability of smaller families. I'm going to repeat it again. There must be an education for new generations of American children that teaches them on the desirability of smaller families. Are you listening? They're saying they have to go into the public school and teach the children that you should have a small family, not a big family. But it gets worse than that. It gets worse than that. I'm about to see, I got the documents. I got the documents because y'all don't believe when black folks tell you the truth. So I got the documents. I got the information. Facts. This is facts. #1 scholar on the planet, most requested. I know y'all hate when I say that, but until it changes, I'm going to keep on saying it. You want the belt, come take it. You can't hate the title away. You can't hate the title away, fellas. You got to come take it. Both hands, you got to take it. But then again, that ain't going to work either because the title can only be passed down. It can't be won. Passed down. Check this out. It also says the President and Secretary of State must treat population growth as a matter of importance in dealing with least developed countries. I repeat, the President of the United States and the Secretary of State must treat population growth as a matter of importance in dealing with least developed countries. In other words, what did I tell y'all? Why is Africa still kept in the condition that Africa is in? Because when Obama and Trump and Bush and Clinton and Bush and Carter, when they go, okay, to Africa, Africa say we need some loans. They say what? If you want some loan money from the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, if an African country wants some loan money from the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund, you have to do what? Accept our population control package. You have to accept what? Our population control package. What did Obama tell the president of Liberia? What did Obama tell the president of, Uganda? Uganda. He told him what? He said, if you want this money, you must legalize homosexuality. You must make abortion available. You must make sterilization cheap and affordable. I'm going to repeat it again. The population control package. Any African country that wants money from America or the UK must legalize homosexuality. You must make abortion prevalent, and you must allow sterilization to be cheap and affordable. That's right, sterilize. They don't just want abortions, they want you sterilized. And Obama pushed this on Africa. This is why I'll never be an Obama supporter. I don't care how much you coon, Uncle Tom, Obama-loving Negroes want to keep on defending somebody who did nothing for black folks and went into Africa and tried to threaten and did threaten and take money away from African countries because they don't want to approve alternative family lifestyles. Facts. Obama, more than any other president in American history, has pushed the population control agenda on the black community. He was made president. He was made president. He was made president in order to homosexualize black America. That is not homophobic. That is a fact. Under Barack Obama, over 50 pieces of state and federal legislation were decided upon as it relates to homosexuality. No other president had that many pieces of LGBT legislation passed on their watch. Obama was the LGBT president. He was put there to make LGBT acceptable to black America. I do not hate my LGBT brothers or my LBG. I do not hate y'all. I will sit down and have a conversation with y'all any day. In fact, if y'all want to have a meeting, we can have a nice big meeting. Dr. Umar, I will meet with the LBGT so you can understand, so we can come to an agreement on what we need to be doing. In other words, if this is how you want to live, I can't do nothing about that. But can we agree not to push this on the children? That's all I want to know. Can we agree that this should not be in elementary school? Can we agree that we don't need black children being exposed? Can we agree to that? Can we come to some agreements to disagree? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. This ain't about no hate. This is about saving black folks. This ain't about no hate. This is about saving black folks. Don't nobody hate y'all. I don't hate no African. I love all black folks. But I may hate some of the things that we do that work against the best interest of where we need to be going with by the people. I just gave you the quote. They said new generations of American children must be taught the desirability of smaller family. The President and Secretary of State must treat population growth as a matter of importance in the least developed countries. Okay? This is one of the reasons why Hillary Clinton was going to be no better than Donald Trump. Hillary and Bill Clinton were some of the biggest population control advocates. Barack and Michelle Obama, population control advocates. Do the research. Barack Obama, while he was a senator of Illinois, passed landmark legislation for birth control in teenage girls. He's a population man. Ain't no hero. Next. Hold on. U.S. agencies must stress the importance of education of the next generation of parents starting in elementary school. Did y'all hear that? This is a quote. This is a quote. Did y'all hear? What did I say? Did you hear the words elementary? Not middle school, not high school, elementary school. I'm reading from the document. I'm reading from the document. Let me say it again. United States agencies must stress the importance of education of the next generation of parents starting in elementary school. It's in the document. From elementary school, we must condition the minds of black children to not have children. It's right here. U.S. agencies must stress the importance of education of the next generation of parents starting in elementary school toward a two-child family. Specific efforts to develop means of educating children in elementary school to the idea of a two-child family. Elementary school, not middle school, not high school, elementary school. This is eugenics. This is African racial extermination. Listen to this. Quote, I'm still quoting. I've been giving you nothing but quotes. Nothing but quotes. The next one says, no country has reduced its population without using abortion. Facts. This is what they say. No country has been able to reduce, not control, reduce. No country has been able to reduce its population without resorting to abortion. Y'all heard that? Quote, it would be unwise. I want y'all to listen to this one. Listen to this quote. This is the most evil Machiavellian quote of them all. Listen to this. I'm still coming from NSSM 200. It would be unwise to restrict abortion research just because there is a lack of safe abortion techniques. Black sisters, did y'all hear what I just said? Black women, did y'all hear what I just said? I'm going to repeat it. Quote, it would be unwise to restrict abortion research just because there is not enough safe abortion techniques. Do you hear what they're saying? They say we should not stop abortion just because it's not being done right. We should not stop abortion just because African women's lives and health is being put in jeopardy. They saying no matter what, you don't stop abortion, whether it's safe or not safe, whether it's dangerous or not dangerous. You keep on making those black women get rid of them babies. You keep on making those black women get rid of them babies. Does anybody know who started the first birth control clinic in America? Does anybody know who started the first birth control clinic in America? Does anybody know who started the first birth control clinic in America? 1916. 1916, the same year Marcus Garvey showed up in America. 1916, the same year Marcus Garvey showed up in America. Margaret Sanger, Queen Mother Racism, Margaret Sanger opened the first birth control clinic in America, 1916. Facts. The whole clinic is population control. They were started by racists. Margaret Sanger was a member of the American Eugenics Society. Eugenics means black death. Eugenics means black death. Eugenics means black death. 1916, the first birth control clinic in America was started by Margaret Sanger. And do you know she went to jail? She got arrested and went to jail because she refused to shut one of her clinics down. She was operating the clinic illegally, and they put Margaret Sanger ass in jail. I bet you they didn't tell you that the queen of racism and abortion had to go to jail for breaking the laws. Sanger, S-A-N-G-E-R. And does anybody know the original name? The original name of Planned Parenthood was the Negro Project. The original name of Planned Parenthood was the Negro Project. Facts. Facts, facts, facts. And today, 85% of all Planned Parenthood centers, 85% of all Planned Parenthood centers are located in neighborhoods adjacent to the black community. And this is global. I'm going to say it again. 85% of all Planned Parenthood centers on the planet Earth, because there is now Planned Parenthood International. There is now Planned Parenthood International. 85% of all Planned Parenthood centers in the world are targeting black communities. Targeting black communities. Targeting black communities. You don't believe me? Do your research and find out how many abortion clinics you find in the suburbs. They are there. They are there. There's a few, but it's far and few in between. Abortion centers ain't in no suburbs. Abortion centers ain't in no suburbs. They keep them things near the hood. Near the hood. Okay, so let's keep on going. In 1938, okay, Margaret Sanger starts the American Birth Control League. 1938, she starts the American Birth Control League. 1939, the Negro Project is initiated. The Negro Project is initiated in 1939, but she opened up the first birth control clinic in 1916. So she's been at it since 1916, but it's not until 1939 that she gets enough money, okay, and enough backing and support and materials to actually kick off the abortion movement with black folks with the Negro Project in 1939. And guess what she used? Feminists, listen up, feminists. I want my feminists to listen up. Margaret Sanger is considered one of the mothers of the feminist movement. Facts. Margaret Sanger, the woman who brought abortion to the black community, is considered one of the mothers of the feminist movement. And why? I told y'all, they use the propaganda of feminism and LGBTism to hide population control. They say women's rights. A woman's right to do what she wants to do with her body. I understand, sisters. That ain't my problem. But I need you to see that when they talk that women's rights stuff, that's just propaganda to justify forcing you to get a... She should have a right to terminate if she wants. She don't care about your rights. The white woman don't care about the black woman's rights to reproduce. They only want to do that because they have an agenda to get rid of that baby in your belly. And by the way, I'm not judging sisters. Everybody has their history. Okay, I'm not judging you on no abortion or nothing like that. It's not about you. I want to be clear. This is not about individual sisters. This is not about individual black men. This is about us as a people coming together to set policy for ourselves. This is about us as a people coming together to set policy for ourselves. White folks come together, they set policy. Chinese come together, they set policy. Arabs come together, they set policy. This is about setting policy for ourselves. That's all. It ain't about she had an abortion, she got her tubes tied. It ain't about that. This is not about individuals. Even when I talk about homosexuality. This is why I keep telling the gay brothers and the lesbian sisters, I ain't got nothing against you. This ain't about you. It's about policy. I'm a Pan-Africanist. We don't deal with individualism. We come to the top. We are statesmen and stateswomen. The Pan-Africanist is a statesman and a stateswoman. We are race patriots. I am an African race patriot, an African race patriot. My job is to decide what is in the best interest. Policy, systematic, not you got an abortion, he's gay. I don't give a damn. He married a white girl. I don't give a damn about what you did as an individual. I'm saying, what is it we need to do as a group? What is it we need to do as a people? What is it we need to do as a community? What is it we need to do as a race? That's the doctrine of Dr. Umar Johnson. That's the teachings of Prince Ifa Tunde. That's the message of the Prince of Pan-Africanism. Okay? So, in 1960, the Food and Drug Administration approves the first birth control pill. This is not a coincidence. What's going on in the 1960s? Black people are fighting for what? Integration. Black people are fighting for what? Integration. You get the Civil Rights Bill in 1964 and you get the Voting Rights Act in 1965. Okay? You get the Civil Rights Bill in 1964 and you get the Voting Rights Act in 1965, right? So in order to prepare for the integration, they got the birth control pill approved so they could help control the amount of babies black women will be having once they integrated into the white community. Facts. The birth control pill gets approved in the 1960s. The birth control. So while we struggling for civil rights, they coming up with population control techniques. And by 1968, now you can research anything I say, I deal in facts. 1968, the year they killed Dr. King, 1968, the year they killed Dr. King, 7 different birth control pills were on the market. 7 different birth control pills were on the market by the time they killed Dr. King, 1968. Again, sisters, I'm not saying you can't use the birth control pill. I'm saying be careful because they're putting things in those pills to permanently sterilize you. So once you stop taking the pill, you won't get pregnant no more. I know women who can't get pregnant no more. They've been on a birth control pill for years, got off of it to get pregnant, and can't get pregnant no more. I'm saying be careful. I'm not telling you what to do. Can't no black man tell no black woman what to do any damn way. I'm just saying, be careful, sisters. Let's keep on going. All right? In 2006, okay. So, in 2006, there we go. In 2006, emergency contraception, over-the-counter emergency contraception was approved for people 18 and over. Y'all remember that? It was all over the news, 2006. You can walk into the drugstore and get an over-the-counter pill. The morning after pill was approved by the Food and Drug Administration in 2006. The morning after pill was approved by the Food and Drug Administration in 2006 for ages 18 and over. Y'all remember that, right? Okay. But guess what? 2013, what happened? I never forget this because I was in Boston. Shout out to Boston, Massachusetts. I was in Boston when we learned, I think it was me and one of the good sisters, we were having lunch at one of the black restaurants in Boston. I picked up the newspaper, and on the front cover, the Food and Drug Administration had lifted the age restriction on the over-the-counter Plan B pill. Y'all remember that? First they said, 2006, they said 18 and over can get the over-the-counter Plan B pill. 2013, because of the advocacy of population control groups and so-called feminist groups, population control groups disguised as feminists. Let me say that again. Population control groups disguised as feminism. Let me say it again. Population control groups disguised as feminist groups got the Food and Drug Administration. They lobbied the government because they have a lot of money and a lot of power to change the law. So in 2013, they said that any girl of any age can walk into the drugstore and get the over-the-counter Plan B. Let me repeat that. In 2013, the Food and Drug Administration lifted the age requirement. In 2013, the Food and Drug Administration lifted the age requirement on who could get the over-the-counter Plan B morning after pill. 2006, it was 18 and over. But by 2013, because of the advocacy and lobbying efforts of feminist groups or population control groups disguised as feminist groups, they were able to eliminate the restriction. Okay, but then the states came in and said, wait a minute, that's too much. You can't have 8 and 9-year-old girls walking into CVS and Walgreens and Rite Aid getting a morning after pill. So states began to implement their own law as to who could get the morning after pill, right? So in most states, you got to be, what, 14? That's still crazy, right? A 14-year-old girl, my daughter 14, my baby 14. You mean to tell me she could walk into any drugstore and get a morning after pill because she thinks she had an oops moment? That's unacceptable. What about the health of that child? Those pills can cause life-threatening hemorrhage. Those pills can cause life-threatening hemorrhage. And you're going to let a 14, 15-year-old go in and get one unsupervised? If an adult wants to do it, she knows what she's doing. But 14 years old? They don't care. They don't care. You are the genetically dominant people. You are the genetically dominant species, and they want to get rid of you because you are a threat to their survival, because God made you the most genetically dominant people on the earth. The black man is the only man that can reproduce himself in any other woman, so you have to go. The black woman is the only woman who can reproduce herself with any other man. You got to go. The ICE people have never changed their strategy on us. The ICE people have never changed their strategy on us. And then Obamacare comes. Obamacare forced all health insurance companies to require all contraceptives with no copay. So Obama changed the game, because up until Obama, you could get birth control and Norplant and Depo-Provera and all of that, right? But under Obama, there could be no copay. You must provide all birth control strategies, and you cannot make the woman pay for none of it. Obama took population control to a whole nother level. Now check this out. 1944, Clarence Gamble, listen to me. In 1944, 4 years after the death of Marcus Garvey, and right around the time of World War II. And do y'all know who funded Hitler? The Rockefellers funded Hitler. The Rockefellers funded Hitler, and the Federal Reserve also funded Hitler. Do your research. Hitler was financed by America because Hitler got his program from America. America was already practicing eugenics before Adolf Hitler. America was already practicing eugenics before Adolf Hitler. America was already practicing eugenics before Adolf Hitler. The only difference was after World War II, you could no longer practice eugenics on Jewish people. After World War II, you could no longer practice eugenics on European Jews, but you could continue. You could continue, and they did continue to practice eugenics on black folk. Are y'all listening to me? After World War II, it was no longer acceptable to practice eugenics on European Jews, but you could continue, and they did continue to practice eugenics on black folks. In fact, America had a mission. I think it was Paperclip. There was a secret study. America went to the Third Reich. They went to Germany and took the top German scientists of Hitler. They took Hitler's scientists and brought them to America to help continue population control in America. Facts. If you don't believe me, do your research. I'm going to say it again because I know you Negroes don't believe me. So please go do your research. After the fall of Hitler, America went into Germany, took the top Nazi scientists, the same ones that was sterilizing Jews and blacks, because 50,000 blacks were also killed, put in concentration camps, and put to death by Adolf Hitler. And no European Jewish Holocaust Museum pays any respect to those 50,000 black men and women who were also sterilized and killed by Adolf Hitler. So even in their suffering, they practice racism. But America went to Germany, took Hitler's top scientists, and brought them back to America to help perfect population extermination against blacks in America, blacks in Africa, blacks in France, blacks in the UK. So, in 1944, Clarence Gamble, who was the president of the American Eugenics Research Association, American Eugenics Research Association, American Eugenics Research Association, he said, quote, listen, there is a great danger that we will fail. Talking about population control and black folks. Listen, there is a great danger that we will fail because the Negroes think it is a plan for extermination. There is a great danger. I'm quoting from the president of the American Eugenics Research Association, 1944, Clarence Gamble. He said, quote, there is a great danger that we will fail because the Negroes think it is a plan for extermination. So let's appeal to the coloreds. Let's appear to let the colors run it as we appear to let the South do to the conference in Atlanta. Did y'all hear that? He said, put the blacks in charge. Put the blacks in charge of the abortions. Put the blacks in charge of the birth control property. Let it look like they are in charge so they won't realize that this is a plan for us to exterminate them. I'm quoting facts. This is facts. I do my research. This is facts. He said, let's let it appear that the blacks are in charge. Put the blacks in charge. Put Obama in charge so they don't realize that what we're doing is against them. Okay? And guess what they did? In 1944, the American Birth Control League, the Negro Project, the American Eugenics Research Council, 1944, right after he made this statement, they hired their first black birth control consultant. Do your research. Do your research. In 1944, right after he made this statement, they hired their first black abortion consultant. Because if you want to get black folks, you got to use a black folk. If you want to get black folks, you got to use a black folk. So they hired black abortion. This is the research. It's out there. Go do your research. They hired black folks to front the birth control movement in the ghettos because they knew we did not trust white folks. They hired black folks to front the birth control movement in the ghettos so we could not understand that this was about extermination. He said it himself, extermination. Margaret Sanger, I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm dedicating this to Harriet Tubman too, her underground. Make sure y'all take y'all children to go visit that Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad Museum. And after you visit the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad Visitor Center, then you want to go to that Great Blacks and Wax Museum up in Baltimore. Then hit that Benjamin Banneker House, you feel me? Then go to the Frederick Douglass tour down in Talbot County, Maryland. You can make that a whole weekend for the family. You can bring your white wife too. Go ahead and bring your white wife. Y'all Negroes is crazy. But listen, Margaret Sanger said, quote, "We do not want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population." I'm going to say it again. This is a quote from Margaret Sanger, your feminist, one of the leaders of your feminist movement. How you doing, feminists? Your leader, one of your leaders, one of your ancestors in your feminist movement, Miss Margaret Sanger. Yep. She's one of the mothers of feminists. Okay? The lady who brought Black Death to the hood is a feminist. She's one of the leaders of the feminist movement. Do your research. Feminist Margaret Sanger said, feminist eugenicist Margaret Sanger said, quote, "We do not want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population." Now listen to the second part. She says, "And the minister in the black community, and the minister in the black community," listen up, "and the minister in the black community is the man who can straighten out the idea." The minister in the black community is the man who can straighten out the idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. If it ever occurs to any more of their rebellious members. I'm going to say the whole quote so y'all can get this. This is a quote from Margaret Sanger. She says, "We do not want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population." And the minister in the black church, the minister in the black church is the man who can straighten out the idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. Do I need to say anything else? Do I need to say anything else? The doctrine of Ifa Tunde is infallible. The doctrine of Ifa Tunde is infallible. Cannot argue with the facts. Let's keep on going. Okay. In 1932, because Margaret Sanger with the American Birth Control League, the Negro Project, they had their own journal. It was called the Birth Control Review. In 1932, inside of Margaret Sanger's Birth Control Review, she discussed plans. One of the mothers of American feminism, Margaret Sanger discussed plans for coercive sterilization. Coercive sterilization. You know what that means. We're going to sterilize you whether you like it or not. And black women in America's prisons were some of the top victims for sterilization in black men. In Pennsylvania, those of y'all who live in Pennsylvania with me, y'all know we had the Holmesburg prison experiment. Pennsylvania probably had more prison experiments than almost any other state sterilizing black men and black women. And guess what? They still doing it. They still doing it. Black women are the fastest growing prison population. You don't think they still sterilizing our sisters? Secret government projects. Secret government projects you will never even know about. So we got to look out for our brothers and sisters in prison, and we have to encourage them to never sign up for the prison experiments. Tell your people in prison, never sign up for the prison experiments. Tell your people, don't sign up. I don't care how much money they offer you. Don't sign up. There's population control experiments. So listen, 1932 in the Birth Control Review, Margaret Sanger discussed plans for coercive sterilization, mandatory segregation, and rehabilitative concentration camps. Did y'all hear that? Coercive sterilization, rehabilitation concentration camps, and mandatory segregation. In 1933, the Birth Control Review published a report called Eugenic Sterilization. Eugenic Sterilization. Eugenic Sterilization and Urgent Need by Ernst Rudin. Now check this out. Ernst Rudin, who published this article, who wrote this article that Margaret Sanger published in the Birth Control Review in 1932, Ernst Rudin was Adolf Hitler's director of genetic sterilization. Let me say this again. The mother, one of the mothers of feminism, Margaret Sanger, who invented birth control, who invented the birth control clinic, who invented abortion, okay, published an article in her paper by Adolf Hitler's director of genetic sterilization. Do I need to say anything else? Hold tight. Time out. Did somebody just say Chance the Rapper has a white wife? Please tell me that's not true. Please tell me that's not true. Somebody just said Chance. Can somebody confirm that, please? Please tell me that's not true. Because I was feeling my brother. Chance the Rapper. Can somebody please tell me he don't have a white wife? Somebody do a Google. Wait, I got to do a Google. Somebody do a Google. Please tell me Chance the Rapper wife ain't white. Please tell me that. She's not. She's not. Somebody let me know. I'm looking at the comments. Chance the Rapper. Is his wife black or white? Okay, somebody said no, he doesn't. He doesn't. Wait. Well, I'll let y'all let me know. Please tell me Chance the Rapper ain't got no white wife. Somebody just said he got a white wife. I hope. No, he does not. Okay. No, he does not. She is not white. Okay. Stop putting lies on the feed because I like Chance the Rapper. I like Chance the Rapper. Thank God. Thank God. Woof. I thought.